Are we ready? Oh, we gotta turn that down.
Okay, you're all set.
Hold on. Yes, we are all set. Got it. Turn that down. It was funny because he had his microphone on. I'm like, what is that? It sounded like a heartbeat, because he was breathing. So I told him he was being a creepy breather.
Well, actually, it's good that you're recording, because if it is basically a board meeting, this way you have it recorded.
We do.
Oh, you have that.
Official.
Yeah, so you
So we move that along, and at some point, Rosemary.
Now, some of you have met me before without the masks. That's been a while. Julia Marshall, an architect from Holmes King Qualquist, and and this is Stephanie Pritchard from Holmes King Qualquist, and she's an interior designer and a senior interior designer on staff, and has been working with me as well as some other staff people on the project. This is the first phase of the renovation for the library. If most of you know that we did master planning some time ago, and we split it up into phases. And this is the first phase that we quantified what work we'd actually be doing in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We have an outline of what it is, and obviously that can evolve as fundraising and monies become available. But the first phase is the renovation of the Dunham house, because through the master plan, we identified that the staff really needs to have a place, so that in terms of a place to work, a place that's secure, and also in alignment with other people that you work with within the library, so that it becomes the administrative zone. And that all other library services happen beyond that door that you all know goes into the Dunham house. This is not to say that some of the spaces in the Dunham house, particularly that what's called the boardroom, can't be used as a space for a meeting that you choose, but at least you're gaining some administrative zone space with a kitchenette for staff, a staff toilet room. We're adding an office by dividing actually April's office and someone else, 2 other people. I know, I'm recognizing. Actually 3 people work in there at times, and we're dividing it up so that the director has an office, you have a space, and some things that will align for phase 2 if we get to do the addition up above. In addition to that, we're adding a gender neutral bathroom off of the west entry, with roughing it in for another toilet room up above once things start to move around. So I have actually my working plans that I'm marking up. We're at the very end of construction documents. Very soon that we are able, and I had reviewed with April for your board meeting coming up on the 14th. I had reviewed the tentative schedule that we would like to put it out on the street for bidding, either right before the holidays or right after the holidays, so that bidding happens in January. Bids are due by the beginning of February. If all is good in terms of pricing and satisfaction with the contractor, because you've got public monies involved, we have to go with the lowest risk, and I say it in quotes, responsible bidder, because it's very hard to disqualify a low bidder, but that's why we say responsible bidder. So that, and also we, they have to bond for a certain amount for the value of the project. So hopefully we'll get some good contractors interested and move ahead with construction in the spring. Having said all that, I don't know how many of you have seen some of the plans that we had done previously, but it's very much in line with the master planning in terms of office space. And what we're here today is really for Stephanie to present to you the finishes, because we are changing out all of the finishes. There's some exterior work, which is actually repair to the foundation of the window bay in the boardroom, as well as some foundation work at that vestibule, which you do not use for entry. It's strictly an exit. We do need to underpin, so there's a little bit of excavation to better support that addition, which was an addition late. Wasn't built with the Dunham house, it was a later addition. So, and a little bit of site work to take care of some of the water issues that you had. There's a basement window right between the elevator shaft and the bay window, and we're going to close that up so you have no water coming in. And then the other exterior work that is quite important is to solve your water leak over the elevator connecting piece.
One of those weird things that happens like 3 or 4 times a year. Something happens when there's a lot of snow, starts to melt. The rain sideways.
There's
not
no-
often, but it's
There is not enough room between the eave of the Dunham house and the connector piece to the elevator shaft. And I believe some of it was in part because where the property line was before you acquired your other piece. But basically a midget needs to get in there in order to do some work. But what we have found, it's actually a flashing issue, not so much a roof issue. So we've designed for that, so that could be repaired. What Stephanie's going to present is truly all the finishes in terms of the flooring, the walls. We are doing new ceiling tile in all the different offices. We're doing new lighting. So it's fairly comprehensive. We do want to retain some of the historical feel, so it really aligns with the finishes that we have selected and presenting to you today. So I'm going to stop talking, and this is Stephanie.
All right, so hi, everyone. So just to start off, like what Julia was saying, when selecting these finishes, we really wanted it to be historically appropriate, but with a modern day take on the aesthetic. So walking in to the hall, you have a modular carpet tile. It's a small to medium sized random linear pattern with a nice neutral background with some subtle blue thread throughout. So obviously you guys have blue used throughout the rest of the library. We wanted to keep it cohesive, but in a more appropriate application for the Dunham house. So this will be used in the first and second floor hall. Here's the coordinating broadloom that would only be used on the stairs. So right now you have a wallpaper that's very historically appropriate, but a little bit dark in the space. You have a lot of nice existing
Very dark.
wood. So
Be polite.
yeah, so we wanted to still have the impact when you walk in by still having a patterned wall covering. So we have a few different options that you can select from. We have medium to a little bit larger scale patterns. They have some nice subtle coloring used throughout. So you still get that impact, but it's light, it's bright, it's still airy and appropriate. And then you have options that are a little bit more texturized. You know, they're not really patterned, but they'll give a nice impact on the wall.
And these are all choices.
Yeah, they're all extremely durable. Yep, you can. Yeah, so you would select which one. Obviously, you know, there's a few different ways you could go. Yep, we could actually pass around. They're all extremely durable, like I was saying, so you know they can take abuse throughout. And then moving into the workroom and offices, we're incorporating LVT tiles. And they're in a 6x48 size. You have a lot of wood used throughout. So we wanted to provide a couple different options. You can either something that goes a little bit more matching with what you have existing wood finish wise, or there's a lighter option which would provide a little bit more contrast between what your existing wood is, but still complement it nicely. And these are 20 mil wear layer with a polyurethane coating. So they're extremely durable, scuff resistant, stain resistant. So they can take, yep, they'll go in the offices and the workroom.
It would be
Right.
all the
Yeah.
offices and the workroom. And
Yeah.
just to orient you, when we say workroom,
It's the current book sale. room.
It's
Yeah, that's what it
right,
is.
the current book sale room in the next phase, if we hope that it's the next phase. That would become your workroom, because in the master plan, if you recall, we flipped where the circ desk was so that it would back up to that room. And we'd open up, one of the toilet rooms goes away so that you had a pass through from the circ desk directly to the workroom, so that one person could be on the circ desk, another person could be working, but if they needed help, you're right there. So Stephanie has selected some flooring that will stand up. It's much like what you got here, that will stand up to the carts.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly rolling
Or
carts.
coffee spillage.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
This can take it all, yeah.
Right.
The only place, and
That could be salad.
one thing that just keep in mind, we're suggesting a carpet tile in the hall. And the beauty of the carpet tile is if someone stained it,
Right.
you can take
Oh, yeah.
one square up and easily replace it.
Yeah.
So all of these things are to try to provide you with as much as low maintenance as possible. I can't say no maintenance, but low maintenance. So, I mean, we have things like this in our own office, and we used to have an individual who loved to have dark tea, and occasionally it spilled on the floor. We could quickly take up a tile and replace it, and it looked brand new.
And the added benefit to this material is that it's solution dyed, which means that the nylon material is actually dyed before it becomes a thread. So it's already, all the cells in the thread are completely dyed so that it's extremely stain resistant.
So we could probably wipe it up.
Yeah, so you
Yes.
can just come and
Paper, the
dab
whole
it up. And
Right.
so it'll last a really long time before you even have to replace it.
Can you also just expand a little bit on using the same graphic and coloring, but in the elevator, it's a little bit tougher.
Well, yeah, so this will
Right, that would be
be
nice, 'cause the
used in
elevator's
the
a mess.
elevator,
Okay.
yeah, as well, because yeah, we did see that there was some staining, existing staining in the elevator, so yeah, you're gonna have the same durability, and the rolling carts, because of the backing used on the carpet tile, there's a special technology, so it won't be breaking up. You won't have the issues that you're having with the existing pad, where you can feel the highs and the lows as it's broken down.
And it meets the requirements for ADA in terms of wheelchair use over it. Thank you.
I guess just because I've gone through this 100 times, the idea really is to keep the center hallway of Dunham House looking kind of historic.
Yes.
Whereas the offshoots where our offices are going to not be super modern or anything, but that's where the luxury vinyl tile flooring comes in, and it's going to seem more like an office. But if you walk through Dunham House, you're gonna go, oh, in the old doors and the whole bit. We'll still feel the same with the hallway and the stairs and.
Including, and it might be
Those are the
before you,
stairs right there. These
right,
stairs.
Yes, this
before we
broad
go further.
Would be the stairs. So it's
This would be the stairs, this would be the floor. We're suggesting a wallpaper for the hallway. We're trying to keep the hallway as, in a sense, a modernized historic view. So much so that we're gonna take out the chandeliers that you have there, which are Home Depot special.
Well, they're kind of from 1980s. They just have that. Yeah.
Right, but they're also not efficient in terms of their lighting. And put in a chandelier that will give you historically appropriate, but also the right kind of lighting, and it would be efficient in terms of electrical use, as will all the lighting. But we took the step to say, okay, at least in the hallway, we do something that is a little more upscale in terms of, the offices will have pretty generic type lights, whether they're surface mounted or recessed, and it depends on the ceilings in each of the offices and what we're doing. But just so that it's a little bit more, so you feel when you walk into Dunham House, you have really made a nod to the historic value of it.
Now, this wallpaper you made, this just in the hallway wallpaper?
Yep, this
Yes.
would just be in
So
the
that
hall.
would be,
We pick
On
one
the
of those
first
sticks.
this rug would
Yeah.
be that.
Yep,
Right,
so
so
you
just,
would pick.
So that rug would be. Okay. So,
So that's the hall,
That's the hall.
and that, these are the actual the steps.
Yep.
And then that's one of
So then these are a couple.
the
different
wallpaper that'll
options.
replace the very dark.
The
dreary
What did you
wallpaper.
choose? What the most people-
Well,
I don't know. I kind of
Well,
like
could we
the
make
middle
a
one here, but I
Yeah, let
like
me-
all of them.
Well,
I think the middle one on the left or the top one on the right?
Yeah,
What
we
kind of
like
one?
the-
Not that
We
one.
like the top one on the right.
Which
Sue and I
is-
Which
like
one?
the top on
That's
the
one,
right.
and that's in Stephanie's handwriting.
Yeah,
No, the
yeah.
other-
This
That
one?
one?
Yes.
Only because I
This
think
one?
it has a little bit more character, older, and then just.
Well,
I don't know. No, that's.
I like the one that you have too. I
Can
like
we
the
make
middle
a
one
recommendation?
there.
Flowers.
I think we,
I don't know.
let us make a recommendation first.
What?
I think that, I think if I may speak for Stephanie as well.
Yep.
We want to recommend this because it gives you a little bit of color and a little bit of interest within the space. I think, although these are all beautiful,
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, but no, I
they're
like
they're
that.
pretty plain,
Right,
and it becomes vanilla box.
right.
And so you need something that gives you some sort of design within the
Yeah, I
space.
think we need to design.
Because if you look at it like this,
Yeah, here, let me hold up the
yeah,
thing so you can see.
it brings out, the carpet brings out some of the color, but it's not going to offend anyone because it's not, how should I say this? We don't want it to age over time in terms of where, okay, it's 80s, like an 80s
Right.
light,
Mhm.
that it is classic in terms of its design. So
Yeah.
in terms of color, this is much brighter.
Okay.
And I think this one is a good, actually, you guys narrowed it down to my 3 favorites, so.
There you go.
Right.
Good
So-
job, us. But so this one's also a nice one too. That is my favorite personal preference. However, this one does have, I like the curves because you do have curves used on the staircase and the architecture with the stairs and everything, and with your arches, with your windows and your doors. So this one is also a really nice option. But yeah, this would be a little bit more, there's a little bit more color used throughout, which is nice to bring in those blues subtly. So yeah, it's pretty much, you know,
Yeah, I can see that if this one over here had more of the color
yeah.
in it,
Right.
I think I'd like
So-
that more.
Maybe that would be nice in an office or anything
Well, the
offices, or are we
offices
gonna be
are-
able to get it back to paint?
Okay,
Okay, there,
because we're trying to be
Rosemary's
close.
office has wallpaper.
Right.
Did you realize that? I didn't know it
But
until
that's
like,
not too busy though.
Yeah,
right, no.
I think it's
No,
cool.
Here-
I
and
can do that
actually-
edgy. Doesn't look like I'm gonna go.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, when you look at it from a distance,
You gotta look at it from the distance. If you look at it from, because it looks different when you put it
here, I can-
horizontally versus vertically. But for instance, I mean, and you guys can all get up, you know, on the floor and looking at it vertically, it's not terribly busy, but it brings out the color of each. And it's warm. So it's calming with all the stimuli that you guys bring into the space, which is cards and books and, you know, papers and so forth. So that's where we are, but it's
So you think
really
this is
up
too
to
vanilla?
you.
What was it? This one?
she
That's
is
just
this
the
one,
hallway,
but this
though,
one
right?
would be the more texturized.
What's that? It
This
goes,
one's actually
Yep.
it goes up the stairs.
Yeah.
And it's the hallway upstairs, so it's just within that space. You've got a
Which
very
one? This
classic
one?
building where everything is symmetrical about your hallway. So the hallway in architectural
This one is-
terms would be considered your honorific space.
I just
This
think
one
it's too much.
So,
Sue and I.
Do you like this one? No. You like this one?
That's one.
Look at you, that's kinda wild.
I do, I don't mind that one.
You don't mind that? I don't know. These guys are the professionals.
I will say this,
What?
we do have to say one thing.
Is this more gray than this camel color, or this isn't camel color? But that was my concern, that it didn't have as much tan in it, and this had more gray in it.
It
Am I
does,
missing it?
No,
No,
and also,
Oh, I
to
see
be
that.
fair,
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll pull different.
This
colors out of the
lighting-
carpet.
you got T5s.
And you have the wood, so actually, there's my
the wood.
little sample, sorry, they're so small, but representative of the mirror that you guys have
Oh,
there
right, yeah.
and the wood trim to
Mm-hmm.
try to like
Okay,
kind of
here we
show you, can it go? I wasn't sure if it
Totally.
was saying.
Go as
okay.
far as I'm concerned.
So
What, the
we
mirror?
were just
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
trying to show.
um.
I thought it had to
history.
stay.
Yeah, read your history. You don't want to never to go.
You can go to class.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just let me say one thing though.
Yes, of
Before
course.
we
Stop.
get, we are.
I'm sorry, that was my stairwell.
Okay.
Really? I just threw it in there.
Depending on who you get as a contractor.
Uh-huh.
I've had the luck in the last couple of years that the contractor said, because this is public work, they have to do it equal. We can spec this,
Okay.
not a guarantee that, because we can write our specification very tightly to say it has to be this pile, this.
We did
inch
that.
per-
That carpet isn't exactly the one that we.
That's why
originally
I'm
got.
just saying in terms of a warning, because you're using public funds and you have to publicly bid, I can't say this is the only product you can buy. I have to say this is the basis of design and or equal. And we try to write our spec really, really tight.
Wow.
So, well, that's.
But usually there's a lot of, think about it. So you've got the Honda Civic, you've got the
Yeah.
Toyota Corolla.
What's that?
I know, right? It's the
It's a-
company they work with. They have contracts with people. And
That's not.
It's. That is public bid. So it means that, they find another LVT, and if it matches in terms of the specification, then we can approve it. If there's one thing off, I can disapprove it. Now, in my last project with Oneida Public Library, the contractor said at the very beginning, I'm not messing with that. I'm going to give you everything that you spec, which was fantastic. But I just need to say that we can write our specification as tightly as we can write it. It's down to how many threads per inch.
Yeah,
How high it has to be, what the
the type of
product,
nylon.
the type of nylon,
The steam
how it's
resistant.
actually woven, the backing, and some of them are proprietary in terms of the backing, like no one else can do that. So it's a little tricky. But we will write it as tightly as we can in terms of, if the contractor comes in with a wallpaper that meets every bit of the specification, then we'll have to re-choose.
Okay.
But if we start with a basis of, these are the ones you want, we can try to be as tight as possible, but I just need to say that because you experienced it over there. That carpet might not have been the same
Right.
exact carpet.
But it was, out of the ones that they had to offer,
Yeah.
it was fine. We could
Right.
pick one that was.
And that comes down to the wallpaper count, comes down to you don't really, there's lots of this out there in terms of
Yeah.
different companies. Comes down to the carpet, the wallpaper, not the paint, because it doesn't matter if it's Benjamin Moore or Sherwin-Williams. We write our specification based on a Benjamin Moore, because that's what we'd like to do. I don't know how many times I get a Sherwin-Williams, well, they can match the color, that's never an issue. The same goes with some of the other products that Stephanie will review, because we have more to review. So I just want to say that, we can make, and that's why we make our choices now. But just keep in mind that we might have to come back to you and say, okay, these are our other choices. We won't make the choice without your involvement, put it that way.
It's kind of an organic wallpaper, really. I mean, there
Yeah.
are others
Yeah.
out there that
And
have
also-
those colors in it, that have this little watercolor swirly.
Yeah, and you guys seem to be leaning more towards the patterned look, which obviously we will specify, and this is a manufacturer that is very widely known, so hopefully we'll just get what we want, but if we don't, we've made a clear distinction spec-wise too, that like they can't provide this like just based on, aesthetically, these are not equal, which is part of our spec as well, so.
So we write it really tightly so that we
Yeah.
can get the information we want.
Okay.
We
So
can enter in,
we
the
can-
pattern
This is
size.
like an 85% type of thing.
Right,
And
but-
then we might come
Right,
back.
but
and
everybody
have
has to understand, this is what happens in a public bidding scenario.
We don't like
If-
this one.
If we were a
I
private,
like some type of pattern, because I think it's kind of, you have
Yeah.
to have it,
Right.
because it reminds me of an older.
Yep,
Exactly.
I don't like those because I think those are too modern, but.
Yeah, those are more like textured based, and this is more historically appropriate for the space, for
Well,
sure.
is there anyone that doesn't like the one in Stephanie's left hand?
Raise your hand.
You
don't-
That's her right hand.
Oh, sorry.
That's her right hand.
I'm looking back, I'm left-handed, I know that I'm, I know left.
Which one you holding up?
So which one do you, so, okay, raise your hand if you like this one.
I like them both, so
Okay, which one is the
But then I
preferred
come out,
one?
I understand that one. I don't like that.
I like them both.
I like them
Okay.
both. I could live with either one.
Yeah,
What would look nice is historical.
I do like more color on.
On this one.
Because it pulls in the blue where there's no blue in the other one. Is that what you're saying? I agree with that. And we're gonna do the whole thing wallpaper. There's not a like
Right,
certain wall that's gonna be.
No,
No,
I
it's
think
go
the
around the
texture really
buildings
would.
and stuff.
Yeah.
the hallway, first floor, up the staircase,
Mhm.
and the second floor hall. When you go into offices, the offices will have painted.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
Yeah, and just to
Right,
show
right,
you,
exactly.
But it is.
Well, I know,
But I don't
I
think
think
this
we're
is,
going
I mean, it's not gonna have.
yeah,
the
like it's
feel
not
of
gonna
the
be
current one.
every.
The
No.
current one is
Yeah.
overwhelming.
The other
Right.
one.
And this
the
will
other-
just kind of blend and you really won't notice it. I think it has that
It
feel
will
to it.
highlight some beautiful woodwork that you have,
Yeah.
which
Actually, yeah.
It'll bring out the wood,
it
right?
will bring out the wood
Kind of
and
see.
most of the wood
Yeah, I
like
think
makes
that is
it-
better.
It does. It helps with the railing with it,
Yeah.
right? And all that
Yeah.
big woodwork
Right.
around the doors. It looks nice with that color.
And most of the woodwork in the hallways in good condition.
I would say.
There
yeah.
are areas where
Yeah,
it needs to
pretty
be touched up, there are blemishes there, it needs to be filled, and restained. So I've put an allowance into a section called allowances. And I put in an allowance, for the value of fixing up those things. And it goes by change order, but at least the contractor knows, I don't want to give it a quantity, but I give an allowance touch up, because if you're gonna do all this nice work, you want, the basement to be scraped in the corner where, the outside corner has been banged up, so we want to fix that, restain it, so it really presents well. The public wants to see the hallway. They don't really care about your offices.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, when you're spending the monies that you're spending, your public wants to see, what have you done for, Do they care about bathrooms? Yes. Maybe no. Do they care about the tile in the bathrooms? Not as much as they're gonna care about that space. So,
Well, because it's gonna be so dramatically different. It's so dark and dreary.
Mhm.
right,
Between the wallpaper and the lighting, it just.
And the flooring too. This is
Yeah,
a much
it's
lighter
really-
color
Yeah.
on the floor,
And,
and the
you know,
mauve is dark.
Yeah, it's
dark.
gonna feel a lot
Anything light
wider,
color is gonna
larger.
make a huge difference.
right. And if
Yeah.
you're in a place that feels comfortable and bright and light, you feel happy about coming to work.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and this is the administrative zone, so
Right.
that's what we're looking
What about
at.
the ceiling in there? What, is it just your crisp white or we all love?
So
the
we're
options?
looking at,
Back to
Right.
setting.
yes. So this would be the painted ceiling color everywhere that you have a hard ceiling. And then this would be just a creamier trim color. Because I really liked the way you guys have the light trim used throughout in the offices, because it, especially near the windows, it really makes everything feel very large and open. And then this would just be your general wall paint. So it's a nice subtle color, but it's still light and bright and airy. And then so like coming off of the corridor, you see how they you're working
Good call.
through with this color scheme throughout. And then if you use, say this LVT, or if you guys, it seems like you're leaning more towards this
Yeah,
LVT,
Yeah.
I don't like the.
but I wasn't sure.
I don't know why I don't like I love the light colored floor, but I don't seem to
Yeah.
like it with what's
I
going
like
on.
it.
I wouldn't mind that with blue, the
I think
lighter, but I
this
don't like it
one-
with the cream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this one
Yeah.
works more throughout the space. This one was, if you guys wanted more of a contrast between the existing wood.
Yeah,
I'm looking out
Hi, Sally.
our neighbors in the Dunham house.
yeah.
Is this to mimic the?
Yes.
Oh dear.
What happened?
So this is, to mimic the existing wood trim color that you have throughout this. I'm sorry, it's such a tiny sample, but, and then this was just reference for the mirror, the gold finish that you have, just to show how nicely it contrasts.
Yeah,
Works
that's-
through.
In fairness, the gold mirror would look nice on
That's
that. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I
think-
just was reading within the history of the building and it had to do that an archival piece from way back that mirror was.
Well, I didn't hear any siren.
Sally, she's not on mute.
She's
I'll let her
not
know.
on mute, yeah.
Sally, you're not on mute.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
I'm sorry.
Does that go with that? Or is that- what is
So
that?
this will be in, this is in the hall, and then this would be in the office that, like, you go through a door, so they're not directly going to be next to each
Okay.
other. But this general wall color is pulling off of this background color.
Okay.
So it's not like 100% exact, but you can kind of see how they still work together.
So if the
even though-
door's open.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, so you'll see it in
Yeah.
relation to each other as you walk through the space, but they won't be like plastered next
And
to
it
each other.
flows. So
Yeah.
that you go from the hallway into these, because each of your offices, you personalize your offices with the things you put on your desk,
Yeah.
things that are on the shelves,
Sure.
but the walls should be, in a sense, generic.
Yep.
um,
A nice neutral
And
background.
neutral.
And then it'll all be the same color.
Yeah.
Yep. That way it also helps the space appear larger too, when you have, like, when you break up walls and stuff with different colors, it really kind of disconnects the space. So when it's all painted one, it'll feel nice, light, bright, open. And then this is just a roller shade that would be applied to the windows. I heard that there's a lot of sun that comes into your space.
Yeah.
So we have a light filtering, we're recommending a 1%, so you still get some light through, but it's blocking 99% of the sun rays when you have it down. So you can still, adjust as you like, but overall you can still have a lot of blockage.
And then why don't you just talk a little bit about the fact that it's micro butter,
The durability.
And also for antimicrobial.
Yes, yeah, so it's extremely durable, scrubbable, mold resistant. It's got all like the great properties that you want on your window treatment. So it'll last you an extremely long time.
Because right now you've got curtains in some areas,
Yeah.
and when was the last time you took the curtains down and had them cleaned?
We threw most of them out.
But
But no, they're
but
kind of-
that's my point.
Yeah.
all of a sudden, they're probably like 6 years old now. Right? Or at least they're-
So
Yeah.
that's my point, that
Right.
this is scrubbable, this is antimicrobial,
Yeah.
particularly in the environment we are today, that we're sitting here all with
Yeah.
masks on.
So we
and-
could spray it with something and it wouldn't stain or whatever.
Yeah, it has a stain resistant, and even to clean it, you don't need to, I'd have to look at the cleaning instructions, but you
Okay.
don't, you can dab it with water
Okay.
and the stain should come out. It shouldn't be like a Lysol or, a bleach like thing.
Yeah, okay.
It shouldn't need that. And also like the treatments that you have now, although historically appropriate, feel very heavy in this space. So this will provide a much lighter option, but better coverage in regards to the sun rays.
There's a few balances left, but for the most part, yeah. they're
Yeah.
kind of-
So all of that will
Yeah.
come out, this will go in, and just so you know, in terms of any maintenance and cleaning products that you might use on the carpet or cleaning products that you might, it will be put together in a binder by the contractor, so that your maintenance person or anyone in this room who uses a particular office knows what products you can use, what products you shouldn't be using. So
Yeah.
that's pretty important. We have this in our office, and you don't go and take a particular thing, and most time it's like blotted out with water.
Yeah, you really don't, everything's commercial grade, so the cleanability is exceptional. So you don't need like harsh chemicals. A lot of it, if anything, is like, could be like a mild soap and water. So, or very, like she was saying, like you dab it, you don't need to scrub and all that stuff to get the stain out. So then, let's see, going into the staff room and the kitchenette area, we have a VCT tile, which will be in a 12 by 12. It's just a
On the floor.
neutral, durable product, cost effective, and then just a coordinating rubber base.
And everybody understands where the new kitchenette will be, and the toilet room, staff toilet room, it's off of the boardroom. What
Yeah.
is considered the boardroom.
The old boardroom.
The
So
old
basically
boardroom.
the front, the one with the bay window, that room with the bay
Right
window
here.
has a little
Yeah.
separation and it goes into this tiny, that's
If
where they
I-
are.
Where the kitchen.
The boardroom has moved so many times, it's really hard to keep up.
If I orient you, your circ desk is out here, and you got 2 toilet rooms here, and there's a door to come into the hall.
Right.
This is what was the old boardroom with your bay. We've tucked in a staff toilet room here. You're gonna put your lockers and actually your refrigerator, as well as small little kitchenette. Yes, I
Yes,
believe the
you move the
refrigerator is.
refrigerator, and we could probably put across from the bathroom, we could put the lockers.
Yeah, you can put the lockers
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Yeah, there's plenty of room to do that. And actually, all these finishes, part of your thought process was also, we looked at all of this, your new cabinetry, and in fact, the person that made your cabinetry here will be making your cabinetry for your small kitchenette. And what happens is that person makes it, turns it over to the contractor, whoever the contractor may be for this project, and the contractor will install it. And take care of the coordination of that. But a lot of this was, we looked at that and we said, okay, in terms of finishes. So just a range here.
Yeah, so then in the kitchenette area, obviously the cabinetry is by others, but here's a couple options for a solid surface material counter. We have a couple different values. So you have the light, the medium, and the darker value. And pretty much it's personal preference. All would, be extremely durable, hide dirt, but also show you dirt exists, which is a very fine line that you want in a public space. They all go with the finishes throughout. They're nice and soft. So pretty much it's your personal.
What would you think? Go back there and
So
make
we
it happen in York, you can.
Stephanie,
Kind of
can
far
you
away.
explain a little bit to everybody the difference between that's a laminate, that's what.
I
you
know
have
that
right
was
now,
sad, but it's.
And we're suggesting a solid
Yeah.
surface.
Yeah, so yeah, this is definitely an more extreme, durable product. Yeah, this is just a laminate. And this one personally feels a little bit dark. I think it would be too dark in the space, the kitchenette area. So I would think the medium range, or potentially, I say darker, this is not dark though. This is just a darker medium. But I think the lighter one might be, like, my personal preference is between these two. I think this one, maybe because it gives a little bit more contrast between the VCT floor.
I like it, 'cause it would pull out the, I think the knobs, I don't know if they're, well, we could do like an oil rub bronze or
Yeah, you
something.
can
Is
do
that
that.
black or oil rub bronze?
So,
So that's why, and we could pick a different,
this one still, I mean, all of them work, I think.
Yeah, these are oil rub.
Yeah. Yeah, but then, so if this is your flooring, you can kind of see, I mean, all of these. This gives a contrast in a lighter direction. This gives a contrast in a slightly darker direction.
I'm a
And
dark
then this
color
one's
person,
more,
so I don't know.
more the same value as the flooring. So it's a little bit more.
We like the darker one,
You like the
or
darker
the lighter
one?
one?
It will show less coffee stains, because, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a kitchenette, when it's staff use.
Did you have thoughts? I don't know, I guess I'm just used to it. Yeah.
So this is the rubber base. So like right here.
Yeah, and then the rest is the floor.
Yeah, so I can actually, so you can see a little bit
What was your
more.
question?
This is just the rubber base, so
Okay.
she was just curious.
Oh, right, that would go along with floor.
Yeah, so it'll just be, yeah, like what you have in here, rubber base.
That was suggested, and I don't know if I love it, yeah. Anyway.
Rubber base, yeah, sometimes it can help the space and sometimes it can hinder it, and it's
It
so
really
hard,
cool.
it's tricky to pick
Yeah.
up sometimes, for sure, like where you want it to flow. But yeah, so this would be the full set, but a 12 by 12 size. So you guys are leaning more towards the darker, you think?
You're planning your skills shot, right?
That's what I was saying, like, this is a nice value to have because it hide, like on the white, you can see a lot
You'll see your
more
coffee
things.
stains.
It just seems.
Yeah.
so-
And I
Yeah,
don't
when you get a
say
cup of
stain.
coffee and there's a drip, you'll
Right.
see that
Sure.
more. On this, it'll hide it a little bit more, but you'll still be aware that there's something that needs to be.
So can everybody live with the dark? Or the medium, I guess I would call it.
Yeah.
I mean, black would be dark.
Yeah, for lack of a better word, I called it the
Yeah.
darker and the scheme.
It's more forgiving in terms of.
Yeah.
okay,
And I also kind of liked how the flex tied in a little bit more with like the blue in my mind. You know, like it kind of pulled in that a little bit.
I like it.
I
know. Thanks.
You spill a lot. Yeah.
Well, you gotta wipe it off. I mean,
So you can kind of see.
Everybody happy with the VCT tile?
I know there's not a lot of options in VCT and majority of them are not pretty. So we tried to pull something that was neutral, worked with your color scheme throughout. And it was pretty much, you know, it's there, it's durable and cannot kind of, the
So
space doesn't
that's
feel.
on the floor in the
Yep.
kitchen and in the main, does it go all the way to the bathroom or?
So it'll go,
It goes in the kitchenette and where you
Yeah.
want the
so it'll
refrigerator
go in
and
this.
And
whole
where we
space.
want
lockers,
over
right.
to the bathroom.
Yeah.
There's a dip
Got
finish which Stephanie will go
Yeah.
through.
So there's very little.
Yeah, there's not a lot. There's not a lot, but
I
it's
know,
just,
we
it's
put the cabinets
appropriate.
on and the refrigerator down,
But it
lockers
will-
and all
It will be next
that.
to.
But it'll be neutral.
Yep.
It'll be.
Yeah,
It'll
Right.
connect all those different
Right.
things
Yep.
together. So the fact that
Right.
it doesn't have a mind of its own is probably good.
yeah, and that's exactly, yeah, you don't even wanna notice it, really. You wanna walk in and just feel, you know, like you're going to get your coffee. You don't wanna, if you go too light with this, it feels too bright. If you go too dark, it's too, you know, it's too small of a space. So we also pulled in for the toilet rooms. You have a 2x2 mosaic tile in your toilet rooms now, and that's what we're recommending, but these are
On the
only 1 by
floor.
1 space, tile samples, sorry about that, but
Okay.
it would be a 2x2 mosaic tile
Which
on
is
the floor.
About, if this was square, it would be
Yeah.
about that size for the actual tile size.
You're
So,
very curious, you can go in the bathroom.
yeah, yeah,
That's
so,
what they get some,
It's just like these, I guess, but her sample is small.
yeah. And you got, there's drains in the restrooms, so in order to properly slope the flooring, we usually use a 2x2 mosaic size, just so it feels really nice with the leveling. But your current tile is a little bit more solid, and we liked the neutral background, but I like the speckled look to it because it kind of adds value, you know, different levels with the coloring. This one, you know, ties in a little bit with the countertop. It also has a little bit of that kind of blue look to it. And then this one's just a little bit more, you know, neutral. It has tone on tone coloring. And then we would pair it with a 6x6 tile on the wall.
And that's a 4x4 tile, so the
Yep.
tile size
Would be a little bit larger. Yeah,
And it would go on the walls to a certain height. It's not gonna go all the way up to the ceiling, but this way the walls can be cleaned properly.
Yeah.
And in terms of the floor, and the reason, you know, we like to spec a mosaic size tile with a little bit of spec in it is it doesn't show as much in terms of water stain, because I mean, if you look close, people are constantly
oh, yeah.
dropping, you
Just
know,
going
you
from
wash your
washing
hands.
grab a paper towel and there's water, you know, like my husband's always yelling at me, how do I get water on the kitchen floor? And it's because I'm going from here to here to here,
Right.
washing my hands 1,000 times. So
Which,
that's where the speckle kind of helps with that.
I
and
don't know, I'm open to either. I guess I.
Here, I can pass them around too, because they are so tiny.
And while we're on
And then here's the
the,
wall.
It's really.
It's just a bathroom.
No, yeah.
How big are they? Are they like 6x6?
okay, the bathrooms are handicap accessible, so.
Okay.
Okay, go to another drawing. I don't think I ever. noticed that.
Oh, are we doing it for the same, are we doing the same for all of them?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
these two.
Yeah.
But hold on, you want to know a size, but then I also want to show you the same.
Okay. We're going, actually, we're talking kind of about the one in that actual space that is in the old boardroom area, but we're also doing one in the foyer, which is near the elevator.
Okay.
We're doing two, maybe.
Yes, they're, yes.
It saves on cost. to
Okay,
have
perfect.
it-
Then you buy the tile and.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially
And
because
then
they're so
we'll do
small.
these next year. So
Right.
good.
And in terms of the size, your staff bathroom is a little over 7'3" by 6'6".
Okay.
So it meets all the requirements for accessibility and wheelchair as of today. Changes. Now, put it this way, the bathrooms are getting bigger. So, and then the
Well,
one
it'll
out
be-
here is actually 8'8" by a little over.
But it won't be
7 feet.
literally
The one
next to it.
I gotta, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that way, that way.
Yeah.
That's small, but
I'm
this
kind of
one
ambivalent.
off
I think I lean to this one, but I certainly could live with that.
Right, the two that you have that are right there right now don't
Yeah.
need accessibility at all.
You have the same
One of
Do you
them
like the
actually, I
dark one? I
think,
did
met accessibility probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
But as I say, the
Well, it's just
regulations and standards for accessibility keep growing.
Right.
And when the next standard is accepted by New York State, because it's out there already, the wheelchair accessibility circle, which we all say is 6 feet at this, 5 feet at this point, 60 inches, is growing for new buildings. For existing buildings, it will stay at that.
So if we redo
dimension.
these, we could leave them?
What's gonna happen with?
It's
the one?
complicated.
Okay, but we would have the toilet room out there, upstairs and downstairs, and then we'll probably redo this one in here. So maybe these
You wouldn't have to
might be
touch
grandfathered in.
Well, no, everything is grandfathered in. However, when you go to touch them, if you do more than just clean them in terms of new paint, new finishes.
Because we could do new tile in there and we wouldn't get in trouble.
It,
Maybe
that's a
It's
fine
like one of
line.
those.
We'll worry
yeah.
about that next year.
Right,
Okay.
that's a fine line because, I know for sure if you touch the sink, you touch the toilet, you gotta redo it to meet today's code. But,
But if
Given-
one thing
right,
breaks, we
but-
replace the toilet.
right, well, but that's, if you replace the toilet because it was broken, that's a maintenance thing, you weren't redoing the whole thing,
Okay.
I believe. It is a very fine line. However, you're putting in 2 accessible toilet rooms and then you're roughing in for a third one up above. So I think we counted how many toilet rooms you would have, that you wouldn't really be required to do that.
Okay.
But, and then you would maybe refurbish finishes, but not redo.
I would like
But
to
while
clean
you're
them
on
up.
the toilet room, I'm just gonna show you this. We specified a rather large sink in terms of width of it. And the reason I'm doing that is every time you put the soap dispenser on the wall,
It drips on the floor.
right, well, this will drip on the
On the
sink
sink.
instead of, so that it basically, it has a top. Instead of putting in a countertop with solid surface and building a whole box, we're just specing a sink, but it allows you to put the, because it's complicated, you can put it on the wall over the sink on a smaller sink, but then you're in the mirror,
Mhm.
which means you have to drill through the mirror, and that gets expensive and dicey.
Mhm.
So we like putting it on the wall. And this way, if you have a wider sink top, not necessarily the bowl is so big, it's
Right.
just the deck of the sink is wider. Then the soap drips on the sink, it's easy to clean and so forth. So I figured. I'd
And
bring
this
that.
is one you could roll under if need be.
It will meet accessibility standards, meaning there is a pipe underneath it, the pipe is protected with a
That's fine.
cover. It
It's
has to be.
industrial or whatever, yeah.
Right.
It's what you
Right, so we're
expect.
not covering it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So pretty much the last, well, actually, what do you guys think about the tile?
You
I
guys
think we
decide on
liked the
time.
darker one.
The darker?
Did you guys like the darker one?
Well, you guys. had
We're
a-
not gonna use it.
Okay, that's good. I don't know, it seemed like it was too matchy. If.
The
needed
lighter
some
one?
Contrast, I like it, I could seriously live with it, but if you ask me which one I prefer,
Yeah.
and we on this side anyway.
I
like,
guess
which
our
one-
recommendation,
Which one?
at least my recommendation, I don't want to speak for Stephanie, in this case, I don't know what your opinion was. But I would go with the darker one because it will
Right.
always look cleaner.
Yes,
Okay. that's fine.
I like the darker one as well.
Yay. Feel like
It's
we're
like
on
a
game
trivia
show.
game, right? The trick is though, these were both my favorites, so I
I
went
did like
either
both of them, I have to
way.
say. I could live with
And
it.
then-
Making it hard for yourself.
I know, and then to end on a really exciting note, we have our ACT tile, which is just on the ceiling in the areas where you don't have hard ceiling. So it's something that's very cost effective and has great physical properties, so, and that's pretty much it, there's nothing really too much to this.
Here, I want
It's just,
I wanna
basic.
go
it's
through
not
that.
crazy.
It's a
textured
little
like
bit
this
better
one.
looking than, it's a finer texture,
Mhm.
because yeah, this can get a little, you know, you see the texture.
And I think they
This is
changed the
not-
size of the grid like every 3-4 years so that nothing matches, right?
Well,
Is
the
this
grid,
standard?
the
Would
grid
be-
hasn't changed, but
Yeah, it'll
the
be a
tile.
24 by 24.
Oh, well, that's good.
But, which is nice, and then, but yeah, it's a finer texture, which I always like to lean more
Okay.
towards.
We all like.
Has
to
a
lean
more,
towards it, and
like,
here's a good
finished look.
reason. You see
Right.
what's hanging off of your,
I don't know what it is, but I see.
Yeah,
Like a
it.
tape or
Oh.
whatever, or, yeah.
I'll have to chat with her about
Okay.
that.
and just so, here, I'm gonna lift it up. Where you see the grid pattern is where you have a drop ceiling,
Uh-huh.
and
That's
these
a lot
two
of
offices
Okay.
on the first floor, we're just going to repair the plaster ceiling and paint.
Okay.
So in this case, we have recessed lights. In this case, we have surface mounted lights, but they're the same kind of light.
Now, I'm just curious, and I respect whatever you, I just wonder why, if it has that funky little tile, why don't they just, scrape it off and just fix the sheetrock? I don't,
It's plaster.
it is plastic.
Yeah, and
So we're gonna go over it because there's already something on it. It's the easiest to do.
Well-
Whereas over there, it's currently sheetrock or plaster or whatever, and we can just patch.
right, I mean, I would love to get rid of the grid ceiling in your boardroom.
Okay.
However, it's a risky deal because
We can
you
just leave it.
probably have lots of conduit up there and they probably destroyed your ceiling.
Like
And
Pandora's
so,
box.
so, where it's drilled.
So we're gonna cover it.
Yeah,
And
well,
we're not
you're
gonna
gonna take
cover
out,
the other side.
right, we're gonna take out what you have, but come back with a new grid and this tile
Okay.
in the ceiling.
And also acoustically too, in a
Yeah.
boardroom where there's more discussion going on, a
Right.
harder ceiling, that's gonna be louder. So it's
We
probably
usually have our
better.
board meetings in here, but we could have them over there. just,
Right,
you know.
but this, this has acoustic value to it.
Yes.
So that helps,
Yeah.
especially, toilet room here and the kitchenette here.
Kitchenette,
Okay.
And then on
And
the
then upstairs.
Upstairs,
It's all done.
it's all done. I mean, you've got major damage in, I forget whose office it is over here at the top of the stairs.
Rose, yes. there's-
Where it leaked and it.
You don't like her. Her creatively put back together office.
So upstairs, we went with all tile, drop ceiling.
Yeah.
It would be lovely to do the downstairs, but I'm concerned that we're gonna take it off and we're just gonna see holes all over.
So
it.
basically, we're pretending that whatever's up there, and you just screw through it or whatever. You
Well,
just
you-
leave it off.
Yeah, well, they're gonna take down the grid that's there and we'll put up new
That's right, there is
grid.
a grid. It's in
Right.
our office where Charlotte and I are
Right.
there, that there is one, like, I think it's glued on the ceiling.
Right,
And we're gonna leave that.
well, that's
And-
what I need to know
Drop.
whether, that's why I need to know whether that's what we call hot.
Right, and it
And
is,
if it-
because they did. it
Okay,
isn't.
so if it's not hot, I'm gonna say we can just leave it.
Yeah.
Because usually if it's hot, meaning it has asbestos in it or some other hazardous
'Cause I
material.
believe that.
We don't like
test came back.
covering it up. If we have the opportunity to take it out, take it out. That's the due diligence of you taking care of this building. If it's not, based on the report, we'll just leave it and then we'll put in a drop ceiling.
Yeah, it might hold the
And it
plaster
will
together.
be, yeah.
Okay.
And, just, about this, but you're the one who requested it.
The wall.
That wall, at the top of the wall, actually, we have glazing
Yes,
so that you can have some borrowed light. because
otherwise
there's
known as
no
windows.
windows.
Right.
So, just so you
I
know.
figured, call it a bathroom because nobody's taking a bath at the library, it's a toilet room. And glazing is glass.
For fancy
And
architecture terms.
Last but not least, within the ceiling, by request, because some of your grills for supply and return for your heating
Uh-huh.
system, we're just putting in new grills into the ceiling, so it will look clean, fresh, and new. So.
Yeah.
Did you get?
And
through
that's,
all your
yeah,
things?
that's all of,
Yeah. Wonderful.
Oh, show them the grout
oh yeah, just some coordinated grout colors.
that goes at the tile,
So
very,
this-
very
nice.
small.
This would be the wall tile grout, so it blends in.
Same color.
And
virtually.
then it's,
virtually.
it's, yeah,
Mhm.
we always try to
A
match,
little darker.
yeah, and then this guy would be you want darker on the floors for obvious durability reasons. And then you can go a little bit later on the walls so that you don't have such a contrast between the tile and the grout.
Because even if it's clean, it's,
Yep, yeah.
That's-
No
I
matter
mean,
what
it
you do, grout, it's like with,
yeah.
you know, we can do, you know, more durable grout, obviously, like each year they come out with a better chemical or composition for grout and stuff like that. So it does get more durable, I think, with time versus like older grout, but yeah, you can only do so much grout. So that's pretty much it.
Very soothing.
The lighting in the offices.
The lighting in the offices, I have a cut sheet. It's all LED lighting. Because we have to. And they're fairly straightforward, 2x2 to match the grid. And each office, pretty much, other than boardroom has 6 lights, the 2 offices on the first floor have 4.
And we would have option possibly, so rather than, because LED lighting can be super bright, or it can have a more,
Like a
a
softer.
softer light.
light,
So
yeah.
depending on, do we have those choices?
Well, I don't think he
We're
put
so
in, I'm looking in terms of,
'Cause it
whether
gets-
I
it's
don't
a
believe
bit
that
much
they're
over time.
dimmable. What we can do, and that's a good footnote, is to ask, the lumens versus what he's got, and I've got to look at the spec.
Okay.
And the color.
Actually, it would be, they're not doing paper.
You know how you like have an Edison light bulb that has
Yeah.
this softer?
Yeah, actually had 2 lamps on.
It was
my
hard
desk
for us
and
when we
then
first
they-
did it, and there we
Lamps.
replaced it. I know Val wore sunglasses for a while till we got used to it, and it can be a little over the course of 7-8 hours. If
I have to
this is a
find out
lot.
which color temperature, because
Okay,
color temperature, it runs from 2000 K up to like a 5000.
okay.
And a 2000 is a yellow light, a 5000 is a blue light. You try to get in between. Offices like to be somewhere between the 3000 and the 4000. I have to see.
All right, no, you don't have to answer
But
that
don't-
today. I just want to have that. I kind of want to have a little bit of an option. We're a little,
Have their own lamp. They have a lamp.
we do kind of have, well, no, yes, sometimes, because we shut it off. Actually, Shar has removed all of the light bulbs. She's unscrewed all the light bulbs. So she's dark over there and she's fine, and then I'm by the windows and I'll turn it on if it's a gray day, I'll turn the lights on, otherwise it's decent, the light coming from the windows isn't bad. And we have a lot of variations with that answer.
No, I'm saying upstairs, they talk about the offices upstairs.
Yes.
Yes.
And they're talking about the lights that'll be in the
Okay.
ceiling like this,
So they all have their own lamps though too, right? And
I think it depends.
or we can shut them off.
I know work a lot of them work in with no lights on and just the light of the computer.
Right.
I don't like it that way.
Right.
I always have a light on besides.
But you know how you drive down the road and you see
Yeah.
somebody
What I'm
coming
saying
at
is,
you and their
yeah,
lights
yeah.
are just like, almost like spotlights
They strain
versus,
your eye, yeah.
so there's a level, and I'd like to be able to pick what that level is, and I don't know.
I will.
I don't know if you put dimmers in. Like, you know, like,
that's what I mean.
Pardon me? I don't know.
Well,
That's like
We
an
want
extra
a
thing.
general light for an office
Yeah.
because depending on
Task
the work
light
they
or whatever.
do, and then you can have an added task.
But
light,
we
like
do
a
have
lamp,
lights, we could
so that
put
you
something
can
right there.
customize it.
Or you can go somewhere that's brighter, or,
I would never work with.
oh, and this is hard for me, this room. I don't, it's crazy. But not all overhead lighting is like this. They do, but
It's
too much.
I don't like overhead lighting.
Yeah.
So my lights will never be
I'm
on.
not seeing where they have.
I know, the only place I have is in the kitchen.
Oh,
The rest of my house.
Okay, it is.
Everything else is like indirect
So I
lighting
can
over.
set 3,000, 4,000.
Okay.
3,500.
This seems brighter than
When in school, we always had these.
Just-
Yeah, you better light it.
This guy's blue eyed people.
I think what's making the lighting a little bit more harsh in here is that the ceiling tile is also, it's a little bit more of a dingier kind of white. And you're
So
gonna,
polite.
not, I mean, sorry for lack of a
It
better
is.
word.
It's
Not-
1985,
It's
it's okay.
more like a beige versus a white.
Yeah.
And so like you're
But
gonna
it's
have a white that's gonna also
Yeah.
help. So right now there's more contrast between your light fixture and the
These
ceiling
are
tile as
LED.
well.
They are, we had them switched out, but
So you
they
got- you
also,
switched them out
And
from
you're gonna
25.
have, it looks like that fixture has a lens on it, correct?
Yeah.
Like, so right now you have the bulbs exposed.
Right,
right.
Yeah.
You've got the egg crate and you're not putting in the egg crate.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you're gonna have a general lens on it, so
that'll
help,
help.
it'll help with the harshness of the light. 'Cause
Talking
right now,
about, like,
you
shades
look up and you're
under.
like looking at the sun.
Yeah.
It looks like this with.
Yeah, but easy, you can shut the lights off, two
Yeah.
windows in there.
It looks like
Fine.
this with it's basically a diffused lens.
Okay.
This is what we
Yeah.
call the egg crate, and then there's a diffused lens. It's specified as a 3500K, and that refers to the color between the yellow to
warm
the
versus
blue,
the
and
cool.
it's
That's the
the
middle.
in between the
Mm,
middle,
perfect.
which is what I.
It's good, that whole
prefer.
spectrum is supposed to
But I
be.
don't believe we're on dimmable. I can ask them if we can put it on dimmables.
I think we can shut it off or turn it on,
Yeah.
or we can have a test light. I don't think we need them.
I mean, I
unless it's
have
like
LEDs in my
same
office, and I believe they are, I believe they're either 3,000 or 35. I have a desk lamp,
Mhm.
and I always have, and I have a choice in terms of whether it's a fluorescent or it's an LED bulb. And for whatever reason, I always like putting it on. It's really a personal preference.
Yeah,
You know,
I
it
think we're
depends on
okay.
your space.
yeah. And we have good windows. And
Yeah,
you
you have
know,
great windows.
Yeah.
the height
so
of
we,
that and
a lot of
everything, yeah.
times we don't turn the light on at all
Yeah.
until it's night, you know, then there's only so much you can do. The
Yeah.
sun's not shining anymore, we need help.
I
But
know, now at like 3:50, it's like
Yeah.
pitch black.
Lighting does a lot. I mean, if you recall the conversations when we started master planning and we went into the children's space and someone said, can you do something about the brick wall?
Yeah.
And I said, it was not the brick wall, it's actually your lighting, even though you switched out your lighting.
the window helped a lot, but yes,
Right.
we need.
But you need
different
new
lighting.
lighting because what you generally would do for a space like that is you would have some uplight and some downlight. And I believe you.
Used to be.
We do have downlight.
You just have downlight.
Yes.
And if you had some indirect light,
Mhm.
it would create, first of all, I don't know, it was a missed opportunity because it's such a beautiful ceiling
Mhm.
in terms of that space, with the laminated beams and it being wide open. You wouldn't even be bothered by the brick if you had that
Yeah.
indirect light up. Right now you have
Which
only
it originally
downlight.
was.
Yeah.
So
And instead of
that's
changing the
coming.
bulbs, they changed the whole lighting.
You guys keep writing those grants and
Huh?
We'll be all right.
You'll be good.
We'll get it back.
We used to have things we called hockey puck lights, and they were just round and
Oh,
they
yeah.
shined up onto the ceiling.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But because they were older bulbs, they were actually burnt out, even though they were still showing, light. They needed to be replaced, and instead of replacing them, they just replaced the whole thing.
Yes, so is everybody,
After they cut holes.
have we,
in
have
them.
we addressed everybody's concern? And I hope that when we're leaving here, we're good.
I think we are good. I like the colors, they're neutral, because then when we add all our stuff, it won't be overwhelming.
Yep.
I like the coverings for the windows, because I just will repaint around.
Yep, we're repainting.
Yeah, it was
Don't worry about that later.
I know, it was definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Oh.
Yeah, you want to light and bring.
You're happy.
I think it's beautiful. And it's kind of like, I really oddly like the dark forest. Well, not oddly, I have some dark.
No, I think that'll be nice because it,
I think because the walls will be so light, it won't
I
interfere.
think.
Oh,
when
yeah,
you're
no,
sitting in
it's gonna
be
space,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it grounds you somehow.
yeah.
it should be.
And
volumetric
really,
in terms of
with
that.
all of this, what's gonna jump out is the woodwork.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
that's
everyone's
something,
gonna pop
that's
into
where
the
you're
line.
going.
I think I'll fit. Yeah. And all of it's dark.
Yeah.
And once they start taking the wallpaper off, that's partly why I went with an allowance for fixing the woodwork, because I think then you'll see more.
Well, just a light sand and another
Right.
stain
yeah.
and a little
It's
poly, it just
beautiful
needs to be,
too.
I mean, it
Yeah.
just needs a little
Yeah.
TLC.
And there's
Right.
so many like little details on your belt-ins. As I was here, creeping around, taking pictures and stuff, like those built-in bookcases have really pretty, like
Yeah.
detailing, like,
Yeah, they do.
the staircase is just, it's just hidden right now with the dark wallpaper. So with, the addition of lighter colors and everything, it's
And
kind
there
of
were
really
shelves
good.
in there besides, now the shelves are gone.
There are they were the Boy Scout bookshelves. I mean,
No, but
they're,
I mean, how the games and stuff.
Correct.
Those,
Right.
that made it even worse. because
Right.
there was
Yeah.
dark
It's
shelves
small.
all
and then
around
it was
the
crowded.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so now those are moved anyway, so.
right.
That helps, but this is what's gonna make a difference,
Oh, it's gonna
Yeah.
be beautiful.
huge difference.
Thank you. You did a nice job.
Yes.
you.
Somehow
absolutely.
intuitively knowing what I like. And apparently everyone else.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
When we're all said and done, we get to know
Oh,
each other really
good.
well over the years.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Well, actually, I think I told her that we like blue and green, and then we have blue and green. Whatever. It's blue. A little over the top now that I look at those and do, wow, I like. blue. It's a little, I wanted to, but
Oh,
there's
they
no outside light, right? So I kind of wanted to look like sky. It's a little,
Yeah.
it's a little strong.
than it
It's a little strong. Yeah. Because the one out there is, it has a grayish tint to it. It's a
Right.
little
Sometimes you can do
easier
that.
on the
It's like
eyes.
stuff like it depends.
We can
on
always do that
how-
later. Well, we're-
Like, what color are your Okay, so it's a lot of more like. It probably would make more sense for you to continue with the
She
lighter.
recommended pulling like this gold in and it kind of
But,
made sense
I
to
mean,
me, but wow. It
Yeah,
doesn't-
like it's,
That's
you
not
could do
anywhere near
it,
that.
just,
No.
you would try to
it
find
doesn't even
another
fit in
way
there
to
where that
incorporate
is.
something
No, we
of
talked
this
about it. So,
light
yeah,
value, like
different
this
face, different
color.
walls. Because I think we'll have
in
to
your
do
kitchen.
something
Grounds it a little
next
bit.
year, because in the following year.
Yeah.
Guide that.
Yeah,
They do the second floor.
Right.
Because this year I don't think we're ready.
Yeah.
We have to have like something to show the taxpayers like the
Right.
day before we, vote.
Right.
So I can't do it this year, but we can do a lot. We have a lot. Like, you can do this room. you can do this room, which is this.
yeah, it's tough sometimes, it's tricky when you're adding new
We
finishes.
might
Just a
do
pit.
that, yeah.
We're gonna get rid of the pit.
We were.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
we are.
Well, you can take this.
Do that.
Right.
That might be,
No,
which I think we were gonna kind of do it, because I don't want to wait too long for that membrane. We're
Right.
back
Oh,
door into
yeah.
the leak. Hi.
Oh.
Oh, yes, let me run. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And you got the agenda. I mean, all the agendas you did, it was like with the invitation, and all it said was, we're gonna talk over interior finishes. We have one agenda item.
I'll write something up and you'll.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can't get it wrong.
I ripped it up, and I was so. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Somebody put solid maple floors down and then put wall coverage over top.
Oh,
Okay, I have a good one. I'm in an 1850s house.
Oh, wow.
Right, so the
Oh,
original
yeah.
flooring on the first floor was white plank,
But seven little.
but early
Yeah.
1900s, it became both.
I love when that happens. It's like pleasant surprising.
Oh, right.
So what do you think they did?
Oh, God.
No,
I know,
they slippered the floor, so I lost 2 or 3 inches in height of the room
Oh,
because
no.
they raised all the floors up.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm not taking them out.
And it's like, who would think to do that? But the upstairs in the house is.
And you only need one, obviously, we don't need all that other stuff.
The floor.
Thank you.
and it's hung in blue tile. And it
You
was-
have fun, say hi to Caitlin,
Yeah.
and all that.
And it
Merry
was.
Christmas and Happy New Year. And we won't see you for book club right now, so I can't honestly.
You don't want me to say hi to them.
Oh, Emily over there too, right? Yes, I do.
What's in?
Oh, they were so good. Thank you. Okay, I guarantee it's weird that there's a mask mandate as of, and all that. It's really good hard. I don't know what to do. And we could be in there and like we could sit in chairs like this and just.
You were wearing masks, you still have.
Allison, I just. Crazy. Like Allison had a patient who gave birth to 6 child 2 years ago. She didn't make it. Her husband went home with 6 children. 6. They offered her, well, she didn't, they offered her a tube, so I could breastfeed, and I take that for 2 days, I learned silent match. And then in the meantime, she started to, I kid you not, and she started to clean, so then she bled for 2 days before she decided to hysterectomy, and then she finally, and then it was too late.
influenced a lot of
It's like, wow, I have goosebumps. It's like, what? Oh my God. So then she, and Elsa said, we're still not over it. I swear she's gonna have PTSD just being a nurse.
Yeah.
It's awful. And goosebumps.
I love when that happens.
My
when
daughter
I'm at work or
is
something that I haven't used in a while. I was like, honey, yes. I love being unorganized.
She
and it
had,
benefits
so
in
the
the
baby
future.
was born early because it was too much pressure.
I'm just gonna go ahead and
You're
end.
good. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
We can end.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, cut that part out.
Okay, so your daughter can have 6th grade.